Grayson Rodriguez just had his best start in the majors. Let's discuss on Fantasy Baseball today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Tuesday, August 15th. I am Frank Sample, joined by Scott White. And let's talk about Grayson Rodriguez, who just completed 7 innings for the first time in his career. He allowed just 3 hits, 1 walk, 1 run allowed with 6 strikeouts, and 15 swinging strikes. Velocity remains up across the board. He more than doubled his slider usage in this one, which looked like a very good pitch. Scott, he's not an ace yet, but he looks like one of the top pitching prospects we expected coming into the season. Your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's definitely looked a lot better since returning from the minors. Seems to be trending the right direction. I think there may have been a point there earlier this year where if you had Grayson Rodriguez in a dynasty league, you were starting to get uneasy. You should be feeling confident again, at least in that format. You mentioned first 7 inning start as a major leaguer, only third, 7th inning start as a professional, with as careful as they were with him in the minors. Also, 3 of his last 4 starts now, he's gone 6 innings or more. So he is adding volume. The one way he's fallen short, 7.7 K per 9 since returning from the minors. So he still hasn't quite figured out how to put hitters away for all those great swing and miss pitches he has. And the swinging strike rate has been great. The swinging strike rate is 13% since returning. So better than you'd expect for a pitcher with 7.7 K per 9. I have no doubt it's going to come around eventually. But I think we're still waiting for that true breakout start from Grayson Rodriguez. And I mean that in the most encouraging way, because as good as he's been lately, I think he can be that much better.
And Grayson Rodriguez was only 68% started on CBS this week. Does not look like he is a 2-star pitcher because the Orioles are currently in a 6-man rotation. So keep that in mind. Let's talk waiver wire hitters. This player or that player, Josh Bell, 2 for 4 with his 16th home run. And in 12 games with the Marlins, he is batting .326 with 5 home runs, hitting the ball in the air more, barreling it up. Great things from Josh Bell. Great things from Brian Hayes as well. 2 for 5 with a double and RBI. And since returning from the IL, he is batting .286 with 3 home runs and a 94.7 average exit velocity. Scott, corner infielders here. Who would you rather have, Josh Bell or Brian Hayes?
I'm going to say Josh Bell. We've seen over his career, Josh Bell's been more usable in fantasy than Brian Hayes has, because Brian Hayes has been pretty much a disappointment apart from that initial 2020 call-up. So, he's always hit the ball hard, hasn't amounted to much. I still need to see a lot before I'm willing to trust in Brian Hayes as more than like a desperation play. But Josh Bell, he's had great years in his past. Even just last year, his time with the Nationals, very productive. He got traded to San Diego. And the data mostly remained intact, and yet the production just went off a cliff, and it stayed off a cliff with Cleveland. He goes to the Marlins. He is elevating the ball more, as you said, but it's not like he was making weak contact with Cleveland. It's not like his plate discipline, which has always been very strong. It's not like that disappeared on him. In fact, for the season, Josh Bell is about 75th percentile in terms of expected batting average and expected slug. So I think the version we've seen here with the Marlins is closer to the true Josh Bell than what we were seeing with the Guardians. I don't know why his performance has changed so dramatically with these changes of scenery. Like I said, going one way from Washington to San Diego, now going the other way from Cleveland to Miami. But I do think Josh Bell is deserving of your attention again, and basically all fantasy formats.
Let's wrap up with Ozzie Albies, the big news of the day. He went to the IL with that left hamstring injury, and the obvious replacement is Zach Geloff, who we've talked a lot about recently. He's 49% rostered. He has that second base eligibility. But if you do play in deeper leagues, Scott, there's a name we spoke about on the Full Length podcast, Nicky Lopez, who went 3 for 4 with a steal and 3 RBI on Monday night. He had a big weekend as well. And assuming the team does not call up Vaughn Grissom, it seems like Nicky Lopez could be a little sneaky ad here in deeper leagues.
Yeah, I don't think he has huge impact potential. He doesn't have much power whatsoever, even though he did hit a home run over the weekend. We have seen him steal bases at a good clip before. We've seen him hit 300 before. mostly 2021 is the season I'm referring to, where he was of some interest in fantasy. But hey, he went from the Royals lineup to the Braves lineup. That's a big upgrade. And I think in deeper leagues, there's a chance that Nicky Lopez, while he's filling in, is halfway useful. Would we rather see Vaughn Grissom get called up and get that chance for the Braves? Yes, we would. He's batting .327 at AAA Gwinnett, has an OPS over 900, but a lot of that OPS is in the batting average itself. Only 6 home runs and 406 plate appearances for Vaughn Grissom at AAA, and the exit velocity readings aren't great either. They weren't during his time in the majors, it's worth noting. So definitely has some offensive ability, does Grissom. Is he going to be an impactful player for fantasy purposes? I do have some doubts about that. It's all a moot point, obviously, until we see him get called up.
All right. And in the meantime, if he doesn't, again, the name that should fill in is Nicky Lopez. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.